it was a strange week because the big first news we got after the last podcast was a bit strange.
You had to say strange
You
twice.
made the same pun twice.
I know.
I got last week
really
to make a really good pun.
That was bad.
I'm really stretching here, okay? But hey, Doctor Strange lost its director, so that's pretty big.
Yep.
How unfortunate, huh?
It's a bit unexpected. Well, not unexpected. That's a massive lie. If you look at his tweets recently, he's kind of like,
Oh,
not really.
Derrickson's been kind of disagreeing with Marvel Studios, and really, it was December 15th where he threw them under the bus, being like, "You guys are like pretty much destroying art by mandating release times." It's like, oh yeah, this guy was gonna get booted sooner or later. So
I take it everyone saw the Oscar Isaac tweet as well.
oh god, yeah, that was pretty
It's just like, oh,
yeah,
that's not good.
So
I'm lost with what tweets. I don't.
Right.
do
Well, Oscar
tweets.
Isaac did an interview for Star Wars, and essentially he said he would never work for Disney again unless it's at gunpoint. So Derrickson retweeted that review or that interview and said, "Thank God for Oscar Isaac."
yep.
So there's that one,
jeez.
and then the previous one was just that, like Armin said, studio mandated release dates, like destroy movies.
Yep. So
So they're burying themselves.
I mean, they couldn't come into agreement with whatever's happening. I mean, obviously Disney with Star Wars, that's a whole thing we don't want to get into here because God knows we could go into that. But the whole Derrickson thing is interesting because he's had, 4 years to work on this script?
But is it 4 years though? Because he would have only been able to start it once Endgame script is done and locked in.
Okay, so...
And the way Marvel Studios work is the script's never really locked in.
True.
Like, there's a really good interview. He was at the New York Film, Feige was at the New York Film Academy, and like they're asking him questions, and he's saying like, yeah, the script's never really locked in.
Yeah.
Like it's just constantly changing every day. So.
Well, he said even like when they're on set, they're constantly changing the script.
Yeah.
But I think it's safe to say that the general idea of what the sequel should be, they probably
still
have
with
to
that.
have that figured out, right? So if he needs, Marvel set a date, or Marvel Disney set a date for next year in May. It's their big summer kickoff. It's the one they want to make $1 billion. It stands to reason that he at some point was like, oh yeah, I should have it ready by then. Okay, let's confirm this day because they only announced that as a date this summer. So I'm guessing he was falling behind. Marvel Studios needs it done because they can't shift the entire phase over just for him because there's already studio, like, we know as soon as he's done that film, Taika is more or less going to take over in the same location and they're going to be shifting around and moving pieces because, they rotate studios and lots and everything. So one thing falls behind, the rest are going to fall behind. So it's like, if you can't meet the date, we got to get rid of you because...
And actually, Feige addresses that in the New York Film Academy interview. He's like, yeah, part of the reason why we're probably successful is because it's the case of like, we have a date, the movie's out this date.
Yup.
Like, it's very rare you're going to get a delay on that. So, maybe like WandaVision and the Loki show played a part in it. I know people online are kind of like saying, no, WandaVision is a factual like player. This is why. It's like, he wouldn't have known about it before. It's like, no, he would have. He knew exactly what he was getting into.
Yeah.
So.
Like, they didn't just announce Loki and WandaVision like off the cuffs to surprise him. Like, we know they plan stuff years in advance and they're like, okay, this is how it's going to go, and things can change slightly, but
They probably sat there, and even when they were like, all right, we're trying to find a director, and they were sitting there and talking to him, being like, this is our vision, this is where we're going, can you do this? And at that point he was like, yeah, I could do this.
right, because he originally signed on only for the first film, and then he was like, oh, well, I'll be sticking around for the sequel a little bit after the first film. So he must have known what was coming, which is a very weird scenario. It's like, I don't...
Because you've also, or they also had that giant creative conference meeting in October in LA. I think it was October. So he would have known about WandaVision because obviously they had like the writers and the directors there.
Yeah.
So...
It's a lot of things I've been noticing, and it's not just this particular thing. A lot of things I've been seeing when it comes to Disney. Like, if somebody sits there and they have one bad experience or just one I didn't get what I wanted the way I wanted, they try to throw Disney completely under the bus. And it's like, do you see how many directors have had the most amazing time with Disney?
Yeah.
Or any of the
I mean,
like lots of that, and then you have one person who's sitting there and it's like, I didn't like this. So
I think it just has to do something with they thought they would have more control after the
Right.
success of the first one.
and time
Well,
again,
he did. You know, the whole like, oh, it's going to be a scary movie, not a horror movie like everyone says it's going
right,
to be.
scary movie.
Derrickson specifically said scary movie, so like he obviously had some kind of control. It's just probably more than likely the mandated release date.
I think he also tried to maybe Edgar Wright it to try to make him more his way. And they're like, that doesn't fall in with the formula. Like, you can't make a movie that doesn't conform to the laws and playground of the MCU, because it'd be like, for example, if they were to get like Chris Nolan to make like this super grounded thing in the MCU, that's like, okay, and now I'm gonna ignore what's happened in the rest of the MCU. It's like, that doesn't work.
it's
because
almost like the slight disconnect between the Netflix ground TV show
Right,
and
yeah.
the MCU universe, because they mention things, but you never see. Wouldn't all of those blocks of New York City be like still
right, what
shot
happened to the
out?
snap and all that? It's like it's never addressed. We don't know the time placements. It's like, I don't know. It's a weird scenario. I just think he was falling behind, and they're like, look, if you can't get this rolling in front of a camera a year out, we're way behind on schedule. Either walk and we'll replace you, or meet this date. And he couldn't do it. So it's, I don't know.
And also, you see like everyone start turning on Marvel, and Feige's saying like Feige's see now, he doesn't know what he's doing now.
Yeah.
Which is nuts. It's like the
Yeah.
dude's had 23 movies that have all made money and all been like fairly decent successes. He's only lost one director in those, or two directors technically.
Yeah, and like
up until
they
this
lost
point,
like the
it's
original
kinda
director for Ant-Man, and look how that happened.
My favorite one that I saw that people were like, Disney is killing creativity. Scott Derrickson should go to Warner Brothers. I'm like, what? Dude.
Yeah, that's the big thing. It's like, oh, this person left Marvel, or Patty Jenkins left Thor and did Wonder Woman. Edgar Wright left Marvel, and it's just kind of like, well, he didn't go to Warner Brothers, but
Okay, well then how about what they did to Snyder or Ayer or
I mean,
Yeah.
multiple
I mean,
Flash directors?
I mean, they're letting an AI make the decisions now, so I don't know how they're gonna.
yeah, that's a bit of a. Ooh.
Yeah, so you better wish that you gotta somehow like slip some discs or some extra gigabytes to that AI system, like get on its good side, and then maybe
Just
you'll get
slip
picked.
it RAM under the table.
Overclock it. Overclock the DC section. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens. We'll talk a little bit more about Doctor Strange later on, but certainly I'm excited to see who the new director is going to be. I mean, if I had my pick, if they're so happy with WandaVision, get the director from that, and there you
I
go.
mean, yeah, why not?
That's-
Why not? But at the same time, like people are worrying about the delay, like, or this getting delayed. They got 5 months.
Yeah.
They're fine. They got what's his name? Who did Ant-Man?
Peyton Reed.
That's fine. They got Peyton Reed like 3 weeks after Wright left.
Yep.
So, they'll go back to the
And-
original list of directors they had for the first Doctor Strange.
Right.
So it's not like they're short for names.
And I do want to remind people, Ant-Man was so far ahead of schedule despite starting late that it moved the November release date to that summer date.
Yeah.
Like, that's how confident they were. They're like, oh, wow, Peyton Reed gets us. Okay, do your thing. And then they're like, wow, we're going to move the date by like 8 months because we're so far ahead of schedule. It's like, okay, fair enough. You guys got this figured out. So, I'm trusting what they're doing. It's unfortunate Derrickson is gone because I really like Doctor Strange, and like, I would have liked to see.
And it's always going to have that stigma now of like, what would it have been like? Is it the same movie? It's like, I imagine it's going to be the same movie. It's just going to be slightly different.
Yep.
So obviously the director's going to come on and want to put their own stamp on it.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you're always going to have that like, oh, what would it have been like? I bet Derrickson.
It would have been a true horror movie, man.
Yeah, that's going to be what's going to happen.
We know that's
None of
coming
this
though.
jump scare shit.
So does this then potentially put a little bit of a negative outlook on Doctor Strange 2? Not obviously people like us who are optimistic at what can come of a new direction.
No, here's the thing. the average Joe who's going to eat 3 buckets of popcorn has no idea that Derrickson was even fired. They're not going to even know. So, like...
Okay, that's true.
To them, it's just, oh, it's the magical guy from Marvel Avengers. Okay, I like him. I'll go see the new one. Like, typically, whenever I talk to, like, the more casual people, they have no idea who directs anything. So it's like, I think to us, it's kind of like, oh, but I don't think they'll make a big deal of it, you know? It's...
Also, how many MCU trilogies have been made by the same director?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. None. So there you go. Doctor Strange will be back to talk about the director once they get in. So thank you for taking the time to watch that video. If you guys would like more content that we offer here for channel members, which you guys can check out in the little join button down below, we do offer additional content, such as exclusive podcasts and topic discussions, our gaming podcast, Star Wars TV series reviews, Marvel show reviews, DC Universe and CW reviews. We offer personal vlogs, backlog reviews of TV shows and movies, video game topics, and Q&As. And of course, in one of our best tiers, we offer audio commentaries on TV shows and movies, along with a bunch of other stuff you guys can check out just by clicking that join button and seeing what is on offer.